So what do these four challengers have to do to wrestle the nomination from President Trump and set themselves apart? Let's bring in our News Nation newsmakers for their take. Professor at Washington University in St. Louis, Dr. Liberty Bittert, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State during the Obama administration, Joel Rubin, and Associate Research Scholar and Lecturer at Princeton University, Dr. Lauren Wright. Thank you all three for being here ahead of such a big day. Dr. Wright, let me just start with you on this one. It seems like everybody we've been talking to says ahead of tonight, this evening really seems to be like it's going to be a showdown between DeSantis and Nikki Haley. It's kind of theirs for the taking. Do you agree with that and your thoughts ahead of this evening?
I do. And I also agree with the governor that we need to have substantive policy discussions on big stages like this. But I absolutely do not think that's what's going to happen. And I think for Nikki Haley, the zingers against Ramaswamy, that's what's been, helping her in the polls so far. And so unfortunately, we do have a show business entertainment context, but the skills required to succeed in this environment are those skills. They're the skills that make you stand out. And so the more personal jabs, the sharper the jabs, probably the better for the candidates. I don't know if that's good or bad for democracy, but it is entertaining, and that's what gets attention. It's a cumulative effect.
Well, Joel, as Lauren points out, this is entertainment with those one-liners, but beyond that, the systems in play here, all of these candidates, no matter what their future holds, are going to be in some form or fashion leaders and decision makers at some point in the future. I mean, very likely. What is the importance of tonight? And you're smiling there, but what is the importance of tonight? Whether or not they make it to the White House, that's a different question. But in terms of decisiveness, in terms of bringing forth real solutions, in terms of giving the American people some meat to chew on, do you think that is important tonight?
I mean, Adrian, we're not running for the lead clown here. We're running for the person who's going to have their finger on the nuclear button. We're running we're watching this competition being about those who will make decisions that affect all of us directly in our pocketbooks, affect the future of our environment, affect the future of issues of war and peace. As Governor Gilmore pointed out about the war in Ukraine, which is so crucial to American national security. So this, to me, should not be a joke debate. This should not be a name-calling debate. This should be the debate for the normal America, the America that actually wants to have somebody running on the Republican ticket who cares about American democracy and promoting values and ideas and policies that advance the benefit of the United States, not just their own personal ego. And I fear that that's what we're watching, is that we have this sort of dual track competition in the Republican Party, which is one track of normal candidates who want to advance the country for the benefit of all of us, which should be the folks you have tonight. And congrats to News Nation for hosting this. And then there's this other track called Donald Trump, who is already making it clear that he wants revenge and ego to be the dominant themes of his presidency or kingship, maybe as he'd like to have it. So I fear that voters are going to see a normal window, and then the crazy is going to come soon thereafter, after Iowa starts voting.
Yeah, we're about to get to some comments that he made during a town hall last night. But Dr. Bittert, let me just ask you, what are you going to be watching for tonight? Just how consequential is tonight going to be, and the stakes that are truly on the table here for these four on stage?
I think the bigger picture here is something that we need to understand. With the new DDHQ News Nation poll that came out, it showed that by far the biggest issue facing Americans right now that they feel is inflation, which means the economy, how you feel after you leave the grocery store. And it's very easy to get people to vote against something. It's much harder to get them to vote for something. So all four of these candidates on stage tonight need to convince the American people to vote for them to fix the economy, and that they can do a better job of that than Donald Trump. And I'd say good luck with that, because it is not going to be an easy feat.
I want to get back to that topic that you brought up, Joel, about, somebody, specifically the former president, acting like king rather than president. This all kind of stemming from a conversation that he had. He was asked in an interview about whether he would use his power, abuse his power. This was at a town hall in Iowa on Tuesday night, and now those comments are being used against him. Let's actually listen to them.
The media has been focused on this and attacking you. Under no circumstances. You are promising America tonight you would never abuse power as retribution against anybody.
Except for day one.
Except
Look,
what?
he's going crazy. Except for day one.
Meaning?
I want to close the border, and I want to drill.
That's
drill,
not
drill.
that's not that's not retribution.
I'm going to be, you know, he keeps, we love this guy. He says, you're not going to be a dictator, are you? I said, no, other than day one. We're closing the border, and we're drilling. After that, I'm not a dictator.
Now, a lot of people could take that as the president making light of the question. I mean, what are you going to say if someone asks you, are you going to be a dictator? Is that a serious journalistic question? And then for him to say it in the way that he does in his Trumpian comedy, oh, yeah, you know, no, I'm not going to be a dictator except for I'm going to close the border, which some people would see as a dictator-like stance when there are a lot of people in this country saying somebody's got to do something. Don't you think there's an argument being made, Joel, that this was taken out of context?
No, Adrian, my thought was, oh, wow, now I feel better. He's only promising to be a dictator for one day, and then he'll give us our democracy
You really
back,
took
right?
that as a serious comment that he was going to, like, actually say out of his mouth?
If it was only the only time that Donald Trump has feigned an interest in being a dictator, I would ignore it. But this is part of a pattern. This is a 5, 6, 8-year pattern, all the way through denying the fact that he lost the election in 2020 and incited his supporters to try to overturn it, and continues to deny it until this day, which is the essential ingredient of someone who denies democracy. And this disdain for democracy permeates throughout our politics right now, including tonight. The failure, to show respect for Republican voters by coming to a debate alongside 4 highly qualified, motivated Republican candidates, that's just a disdain for democracy. So you bet, to use another letter D, the dictator, Donald, he is clearly interested in taking over and not having a democratic system after he wins, if that's to be the case.
Lauren, how do you feel about it? I know, after he made those comments at the town hall last night, the Biden campaign immediately responded, saying Donald Trump has been telling us exactly what he will do if he's reelected. And tonight he said he will be a dictator on day one. Americans should believe him. But can't you argue that President Biden did that same thing on day one when he was in office? I mean, undo almost everything that President Trump did to fortify the border? I mean, it seems like the pot calling the kettle black here a little bit.
Well, he didn't joke about being a dictator. And frankly, that just shows how exceptional Donald Trump is in the context of our political system, that here's a person that does flirt with autocracy, says these sorts of things, as Joel mentioned, all the time. And guess what? He's leading every Republican competitor in the polls by an increasing margin. Republican voters do not seem to care about this behavior. What's even more concerning, and the Biden administration, the campaign rather, did the exact right thing by responding right away. This is a gift to them. However, how bad is Joe Biden doing on things like Liberty mentioned, the #1 issue, the economy, that in head-to-head national matchups, Donald Trump is leading him in a lot of instances. And so it should be a wake-up call to the Biden administration that this is someone who tried to lie about the election, tried to stay in office. And guess what? People are pretty apathetic about that. They care more, the evidence shows, about issues affecting their day-to-day lives. They do not see a threat to democracy as one of their top issues. And so as concerning as that is, Democrats do need to pay attention to that.
Dr. Liberty Vitter, I think we are out of time. Are we out of time, guys? Okay, I apologize. We don't want to cut this conversation short, but we have to stay on schedule. Lauren Wright, Joel Rubin, thank you all for being with us.
Thank you.